The story begins in Medford, Texas, where a young boy with a brilliant mind but little social awareness is about to face one of the most confusing days of his young life. Young Sheldon Cooper had recently become fascinated with the idea of parallel universes. After reading a theoretical physics paper he wasn't technically supposed to have access to at the school library. That morning, while brushing his teeth precisely for 2 minutes and 36 seconds, he had calculated it to be the optimal balance between hygiene and enamel preservation. Sheldon suddenly stopped mid-brush and declared, "If parallel universes exist, then somewhere out there, I'm brushing my teeth with my left hand." Missy, his twin sister, who was trying to get some peace before school, rolled her eyes and said, "In that universe, maybe you're normal too." Sheldon was unbothered. He needed answers. At breakfast, he bombarded his parents with questions about metaphysics. George Sr., halfway through pouring syrup on his pancakes, mumbled, "Buddy, maybe let the coffee kick in before talking about quantum duplicates." Mary, his mother, suggested that maybe he should ask Pastor Jeff about the theological implications of other dimensions. Sheldon was insulted. "Mother, Pastor Jeff thinks dinosaurs lived with humans. I'm not trusting him with multiverse theory." At school, Sheldon attempted to recreate the double-slit experiment using supplies from the janitor's closet and nearly caused a fire. Dr. Sturgis was both alarmed and impressed. "Sheldon, perhaps you're on the verge of a Nobel-worthy discovery. Or suspension." Principal Peterson was not amused. Meanwhile, Missy had her own drama. She was trying out for the cheerleading team but was distracted because her brother was, once again, the center of attention for all the wrong reasons. "It's like being twins with an alien," she muttered to her friend. Back at home that evening, Mima had come over for dinner. She brought brisket and a deck of cards. Sheldon ignored both. He had a plan. In the garage, Sheldon had set up a quantum mirror, using 2 bathroom mirrors, a flashlight, and a carefully placed Jenga tower. When Missy wandered in, he explained, "This setup will help me detect fluctuations between universes by observing quantum light interference patterns." "It looks like you're trying to see if your pimples are symmetrical," Missy said before walking away. Suddenly, there was a loud crash. The Jenga tower collapsed. At that very moment, Georgie walked in wearing mismatched socks and holding a soda can that was clearly labeled, "Do not touch." Sheldon gasped. "An anomaly," he cried. "This could be a sign that the multiverse is bleeding into our reality." George Sr., hearing the commotion, yelled from the kitchen, "Sheldon, stop messing with mirrors. Last time I nearly cut myself shaving in reverse." That night, Mary sat with Sheldon and tried to gently bring him back to reality. "Honey, maybe instead of trying to see other universes, you try to be more present in this one." Sheldon looked thoughtful. "But what if the other Sheldons are smarter? Or better socially adjusted?" Mary smiled. "Then let them be. I like the Sheldon I have right here." The next day at school, Sheldon did something unexpected. He approached a group of kids in the lunchroom and said, "Would anyone like to discuss string theory over chocolate milk?" To everyone's surprise, a quiet boy named Franklin raised his hand. "I read about that. Are you talking about Calibi, Yau manifolds?" Sheldon lit up. Maybe in this universe, he wasn't as alone as he thought. That evening, as the Cooper family watched TV together, Mima whispered to George Sr., "Think we finally cracked the code on that boy?" George shrugged. "If by cracked, you mean confused him into being sociable, then maybe." As the screen fades to black, Sheldon's voice narrates, "In a universe of infinite possibilities, the odds of finding someone who understands you might be rare, but not impossible." Ordinary Tuesday morning in Medford, Texas. Ordinary except for the strange silence in the Cooper household. Sheldon, usually the first to speak, the first to question, the first to remind the family of his structured schedule, sat unusually still at the breakfast table, his cereal slowly becoming soggy as he stared blankly at the wall. Mary noticed first. "Honey, are you feeling all right?" Sheldon looked up, his voice soft and flat. "Dr. Sturgis didn't show up for our call last night." George Sr. shrugged. "Maybe he forgot, buddy." But Sheldon never believed in just forgetting. For him, patterns were sacred. Routines were laws. And Dr. Sturgis missing their weekly video call was a statistical impossibility. That day at school, Sheldon was distracted. His notes were messy, he dropped his pencil 3 times, and during physics class, he misquoted Newton. Dr. Linkletter even raised an eyebrow. Missy, ever the observant sister, leaned over during lunch and asked, "You okay?" Sheldon replied, "No. Something is wrong. I can feel it." That afternoon, Mary got a phone call. Her face dropped. Her lips trembled. And the moment she sat down on the couch, the entire room grew heavy. Sheldon walked in, sensing something wasn't right. Mary looked at him with tears in her eyes. "Sheldon, Dr. Sturgis had a heart attack." The words didn't make sense. Not to Sheldon. "That's not possible. I saw him last week. He was fine." "He's in the hospital, sweetie. They're doing everything they can," Mary added. That evening, Sheldon sat alone in the garage. The walls that usually comforted him with their order, their predictability, felt foreign. The diagrams on the walls blurred. He looked at an old model of an atom he had built with Dr. Sturgis's help. His hands shook as he picked it up. Memories flooded in. The lectures, the laughter, the silly science jokes only they understood. Mima came in quietly and sat beside him. "He's a fighter, Moonpie," she said. Sheldon didn't respond. He just stared at the model. "He's my only intellectual equal," he finally whispered. "He's the only one who understands my brain." Mima smiled gently. "And your heart too." The next few days were quiet. Missy tried to cheer him up by offering to watch Star Trek together, but Sheldon declined. Georgie even gave up his last cola, placing it silently on Sheldon's desk. But nothing helped. Then the news came. A second call. This time from the hospital. Dr. Sturgis had passed away in his sleep. Peacefully, the nurse said. Sheldon didn't cry. Not at first. He simply stood up, walked to his room, and closed the door. Inside, he sat at his desk, opened his notebook, and began to write. John A. Sturgis, mentor, friend, quantum explorer. The words were shaky but precise. He wrote about their conversations, the experiments, the laughter, and the day Dr. Sturgis told him. The universe is full of unanswered questions, but the best ones come from your heart, not just your head. That night, the Cooper family sat together, unusually quiet. Even the TV was off. Mary held Sheldon's hand. He didn't pull away. George Sr. looked at his son and said, "He was proud of you, you know." Sheldon nodded. "I hope, wherever he is, he has answers to the questions we never got to ask." At school, Sheldon requested to speak at the morning assembly. Standing nervously before the student body, he said, "Most of you didn't know Dr. Sturgis. But he was brilliant. And kind. And he saw something in me when most people saw just a weird kid." His voice cracked. "He made me feel like I belonged. Like maybe I wasn't so alone in this universe." Missy, watching from the side, wiped her eyes. Even Principal Peterson had to dab a tear. That night, Sheldon sat outside looking at the stars. He whispered to the sky, "If parallel universes are real, I hope there's one where you're still here, asking silly questions, and laughing about muons and quarks." The wind blew gently through the trees. He didn't believe in signs. But maybe, just maybe, that breeze was Dr. Sturgis saying goodbye.